in the shadow of the three-year anniversary since January 6th, the most harrowing day to our democracy since the Civil War, 9/11, Pearl Harbor, all rolled into one. The most famous crossing guard, rioter, protester, agitator, what have you, Ray Epps. Ray Epps was finally brought to justice. And by brought to justice, I mean got a slap on the wrist in a very conspicuous way, because it wasn't anything close to what his fellow, I use those terms very loosely, fellow protesters ended up getting from the courts. But Ray Epps is sentenced as January 6th conspiracy theories continue to dominate his life. It's interesting, the kid gloves that they're using to handle this guy specifically. It's very strange. But here's some of the corporate line. A man whose life has upended by right-wing conspiracy theories accusing him of being a federal agent assigned to entrap Donald Trump supporters has been sentenced to 1 year of probation for crimes connected to January 6 attacks. I'm sorry, what? 1 year of probation. There are people that didn't even go into the Capitol, or Owen Schroyer, people who were not encouraging anybody to go into the building, who spent months inside prison, who are still being held, awaiting their trial, people who were not going to experience freedom for a decade of their life. And Ray Epps gets 12 months probation, even though he has been captured on video camera, encouraging people to go inside the make this make sense. Ray Epps received a sentence of 12 months of probation on January 9th after pleading guilty to a charge of disorderly or disruptive conduct of joining a mob in Washington, D.C. and encouraging rioters to march to the U.S. Capitol, where the former president's loyalists stormed the halls of Congress to reject the results of the 2020 presidential election. He was sentenced in the same building where Mr. Trump was attending his own hearing to defend his claim of immunity from prosecution for his attempt to overturn the election, culminating in a mob fueled by his election lies that he failed to stop. Oh my God, stop it with the dramatics. Epps and his wife have spent 3 years that followed dodging an ongoing conspiracy theory amplified by Fox News, members of Congress, and Mr. Trump himself, alleging that he worked with federal law enforcement to provoke rioters. Yeah, because it just seems like he's getting special treatment. In a letter asking the judge for leniency before Tuesday's hearing, Epps, who supported the former president in 2016 and 2017 and was a loyal Fox viewer at the time, wrote that he had since learned not to put my trust in politicians, Fox News, and some other media and other social media outlets, only to have them betray me and other American citizens with election lies. Oh yeah, spoken like a true believer, right? Now, when the lies were exposed, they created a conspiracy to shift the entire blame for the insurrection on the FBI and myself as I became the face of January 6th. Sure, I would say that the Q shaman is far more of an appropriate face, but you do you. The blame for the insurrection is not on the FBI. It is on those who were at the Capitol and engaged in insurrectionist activities. Which ones are those exactly? Because who has been charged with an insurrection so far? I'm just asking. Ray, you seem to have the inside track on things like this. And those who misled Americans like myself into believing the election had been stolen. Exactly. Just put your blinders back on, Ray, and you won't have to go to jail. Federal prosecutors initially requested a prison sentence of 6 months, but we're going to go ahead and thoroughly debunk that they were serious about that very shortly. The Epps family and his attorneys sought a probationary sentence, pushing back against claims from prosecutors that he engaged in felonious conduct. He did, and pointing to the overwhelming impacts from conspiracy theories and far-right threats to his family. People have been mean to me and asking me questions about my affiliation with several three-letter agencies with the government. How dare they? He was running a family property that contained a special event venue and other businesses before selling it all and going into hiding because of threats against him and his wife, resulting in dangerous misinformation, said attorney Ed wrote on January 7th. Live in a trailer in the woods, in a van down by the river, away from their family, friends, and the community. In a separate letter to the judge, his wife, Robin Epps, wrote, it's like, you're so scared, but you're Putting your family members out in public, weird. I wrote that Fox News was the couple's exclusive news channel. Yeah, this definitely doesn't at all sound like a Fed op, for sure. No, of course not. Epps, a former U.S. Marine and ex-Oath Keeper. Oh, leader in Arizona. Oh, interesting, because there's another Oath Keeper leader, quote-unquote leader, that is spending how many years in jail? Interesting. He doesn't get probation. Well, he will, after spending like 90% of his sentence in jail, because it has Fed charges after all. Traveled to Washington, D.C. on a false belief that the 2020 election was marred by fraud. See, it's a false belief because the media says it is. He is captured on video urging a mob to march to the Capitol after Mr. Trump's speech at the Ellipse, where he told his supporters to head towards the Capitol and fight like hell. Yeah, he's captured on video footage, and Trump said you need to fight like hell. Otherwise, you won't have a country anymore. Very different. But after Fox and others spread what she called the Ray Epps conspiracy theory, the couple endured death threats and harassment that put our lives at risk. Yep, probably. I won't dissuade that, but their phones were bombarded with threatening messages and frightening voicemails. People drove by their homes waving guns. Bullet casings were found on their property. Couples posed as potential customers for their wedding business, only to corner them with questions about Epps. The threats, intruders, and fear became so overwhelming they eventually sold their home and business to go into hiding. Yeah, if that actually did happen, that's pretty shitty, but I mean, I'm more concerned with what he actually did on January 5th than January 6th. I think that's far more important. But because we aren't going to get to the bottom of that, might as well go to somebody who's actually inside the courtroom instead of just simply opining on the sob stories of the Epps family. Shout out Christina, Radix Verum out there. Okay, I definitely recommend a follow and a subscription over on her YouTube and Rumble channel. She does some great work, specifically focusing on the Fed napping stuff with her Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer from, if you remember that, also from 2020, that entire bumblefuck that went on. Christina hasn't been letting up on the gas on that one, so shout out to her on this. But she managed to swing on down to the courtroom for the Ray Epps sentencing, and she got quite a thread right here, and I'd like to share this with you guys. Prosecutors praised Epps for de-escalation tactics. The prosecutor, by the way, and had a whole slideshow that entitled Attempts to De-Escalate. Both Judge Bossberg and the prosecutor both claimed he never tried to go into the Capitol. He just encouraged other people to. The prosecutor claimed he struggled and that he could give Epps a felony with a low sentence or a misdemeanor with a high sentence. Prosecutor claimed that Epps' case was unique and a complicated case. I don't see how. No, it really does seem... It seems far more cut and dry than the other cases that have been brought before the court, where it's like they weren't even close, they weren't encouraging anybody, but instead, no, you're a danger to our democracy. And also don't see any other J6 defendants getting this type of special treatment. Oh yes, where a prosecutor claims their case is unique. Can't think of a single one outside of this. Prosecutors said that they use their prosecutorial discretion. Oh, right, to choose to charge Epps with a misdemeanor. Very interesting, because we've seen prosecutorial discretion used in the other direction for other people, despite the same prosecutor arguing 10 minutes before that Epps had engaged in felonious conduct. Oh, don't need to get caught up on semantics. The government agreed with Ray Epps' defense lawyer arguments regarding mitigation factors for Epps. Yo, what? Epps and his lawyers, along with the government and Judge Bossberg, all agreed that Ray Epps was a victim of widespread conspiracy theories. What are we doing? Oh my God. You're supposed to be sentencing him, not going, yeah, people have been treating him bad. Well, we should probably go easy on him. The DOJ themselves admitted that they were giving Epps a significant break. Yeah, I wonder why. The prosecutor argued 6 months is an appropriate sentence. The prosecution then proceeded to praise Epps, claiming he supported law enforcement officers that day. Unbelievable. Epps' lawyers pointed out Epps got in touch with his called the FBI almost immediately on January 8th, 2021, that he gave voluntary statements and cooperated. Epps also was allowed to speak when he said the FBI had nothing to do with what happened on January 6th. He blames Fox News for peddling election integrity conspiracy theories, and he blamed Trump. Yes, of course. And then everybody stood up and clapped, and then said he believes January 6th was an insurrection. Epps' lawyer claimed people called Epps a boomer. On January 5th, when Epps was recorded on video urging rally attendees to go into the Capitol the next day, Baked Alaska and others started changing I guess I should be chanting Fed, Fed, Fed. But Epps's lawyer claimed Epps was trying to de-escalate and that Baked Alaska and others didn't listen to Epps. Of course not. Somebody please think of the boomer. Epps's lawyer made the claim Epps just said we should go down to the Capitol. Come on now, we'll just party. We've seen the video, the evidence that contradicts this, though. Yeah, of course. Epps's lawyer then made a big thing about how Epps, in a post at January 6th interview, was a citizen journalist. Sorry, what? Talked about what happened with January 6th being symbolic. His lawyer said that Epps, it was just a symbolic amplification of his voice. Oh my God, what do we got here? And then Epps's lawyer made an astounding admission. He claims that reviewing the footage of Epps and his conduct in the government made a formal decision in 2021 not to charge Epps with anything. I'm sorry, what? They made a decision at the time where they were handing out sentences like candy, or charges like candy. What the hell? He then claims Epps is being unfairly treated. He was charges against him, but oh no, we brought some against him, and yeah, now you're being treated unfairly, with the government giving him a misdemeanor show charge. Exactly. Epps's lawyer argued that probation for him as a sentence would promote accountability. Right. Epps, in a statement, did not only lash out at Fox News, but he lashed out at the so-called Trump cult. You couldn't script anything better than this. Who he blames for his conduct. He then praised the FBI and Antifa. I'm sorry, what? Saying conclusively that they had no involvement in January 6th and that the only angry Trump supporters were part of the mob. Unbelievable. Epps said that the 2020 election was not stolen and that he wants to spend the rest of his life trying to explain that to others. Exactly. Now he's going to be a proselytizer for the other side. Unbelievable. He wants to speak about the truth of the election results and assured Judge Boasberg he no longer gets his information from Fox News and that he trusts the government. He said this in court. Holy shit. Judge Boasberg praised the government for being balanced in their presentation. I want to die. Judge Boasberg claims Epps's initial conduct probably warranted jail time, but then cited his extensive cooperation with the government, January 6 farce committee, etc., and other mitigating factors to give Epps a sentence of 12 months probation and no travel restrictions, He then called January 6 an insurrection, and he slammed conspiracy theorists who claim the FBI was involved. Judge Boasberg says more important than Epps's conduct on January 6 was what happened after, and he cites Epps and his wife as victims. The conspiracy theories and harassment, which he claims is at a level he hadn't seen before. Unbelievable. Just simply open your eyes. So there you have it. Epps is a unique and complicated case and a victim of widespread conspiracy theories, totally not an FBI informant, Fed, or working for a contractor that contracts with the Fed, which is why he got this amazing sweetheart deal and praise from the government and FISA judge. It's unbelievable. Oh, an addendum. I forgot to add how Judge Boasberg disregarded the video played of Epps helping to push the massive Trump flag that was over 20 feet long onto a line of Capitol officers, claiming anyone might put their hand up to protect their head. The big sign is coming, right? This is actually amazing, and I'm sure no other January 6th defendants got the benefit of the doubt again, and to contrast the video evidence of what happened that day. Finally, yes, if you want to support me, yes, I definitely, shout out to Christina for heading down to the courthouse on this one. Great stuff right there, cataloging that. As she puts it, a farce, and I can go ahead and confirm that reading through all of that. Unbelievable. If you really think a judicial outcome like this is going to stem any of those calls that, wow, sure is a quinky dink that you're going to have somebody so prominently and so very well videotaped out there calling for certain things to happen, then he ends up getting a slap on the wrist like this. Yeah, really going to put all of those conspiracy theories to bed with this one. Unbelievable. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.